you could just move them from one room to the next so easily. And I had more than enough drawers and compartments for everything that you could need in front of an isolation room, which was so helpful during the COVID-19 pandemic. And some of this technology gets me so excited. I have to interrupt you. I wanted to hear more about an innovation that stemmed from a supply chain issue, and that is the reusable wipe bucket, the disinfectant wipe bucket that Filmop created because of the supply chain shortage of buckets and wipes, and then just came out of sheer need. So what is that where it really came from? Was that in production before the pandemic, or is that something that the innovation and development team at Filmop just were to create and get to their customers?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And actually, I also asked that question to Italy when the need came up, and believe it or not, that bucket was designed about 10 years ago, but it was designed based on maximizing features and benefits on a wipe bucket. So in America, you have wipe buckets, and you basically throw them away, or they break very easily. And so that's not the philosophy what Filmop is working with. So when they put their engineers together, they're looking about things which are sustainable. We don't, Filmop Europe is completely energy neutral. So they use solar panels. They are one of the best manufacturers, which are environmental friendly manufacturers. So they do not like to just throw things away. They design it so you can reuse it. So that wipe bucket is a great example. So what they did, they made a bucket which it's more expensive, but you don't throw it away. You use it, you clean it, you put new wipes in it, and they have a special closure, so the wipes stay moist for up to 2 weeks in the bucket because there's no vaporization of chemicals happening, and there's also no mold happening in that bucket.
Bruno, does that bucket, I know created, manufactured, innovated in Italy, but when you talk about taking it over to the U.S. market, does that meet the OSHA standard for labeling of chemicals? Is there any way to label that bucket? Or is Filmop USA aware of the fact that the inner packet of wipes, if there is one, is labeling enough? And if there is no inner packet, how are your customers in the U.S. that have to follow OSHA guidelines for chemicals, how are they labeling that system? Do you offer a solution for labeling?
No, we usually when it comes to labeling, it's from my experience, even with the Equidos system, it's really end user specific. So I always promote to take the MSD label and put them onto the bucket directly. So we don't offer a special labeling system. We usually depend on the end user to have their labels and put them onto the bucket. That's kind of like how we approach that. We can do special labeling if needed, but it's usually really because I have worked with many hospitals, and every hospital has a different system how they want to label their chemicals. So I really push it back to the end user to label how they want to label it.
Yeah, Dion, I know that we've been through this before. We both have very robust environmental health and safety teams, but we often talk about how so many things in healthcare are standardized, and based on scientific or evidence-based practice, but for some reason with environmental services, we often see a lot of variation in processes. But the end result should be the same, a clean, safe, comfortable environment. So I would probably love to see something, and Filmop with such a great innovation team and so engaged with their customer base. I would love to see something where we could standardize the labeling, because I think, and Dion, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I really think we're headed into, going back toward reusable equipment again. I know we had a conversation with another vendor last podcast about going back to reusable and launderable isolation gowns. So this is just another example of reducing the waste stream, becoming more sustainable and aware of our environment, and also following best practices and standardizing processes.
So I think part of it is, Bruno, is you're offering a product. You have a certain type of bucket, a design of a bucket. So what we're trying to do, and part of this podcast is to help standardize the environmental services world.
Yes.
There's so many different ways of doing things. So even if you don't provide the label, you can provide a surface where any label can be placed onto. Is your surface of that bucket clear where a label can be placed? I mean, flat enough for a label?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm a fan. I'm really a promoter of standardizing. I would love to have a standardized labeling system for EVS. I really would love to have a standardized SOP procedures for EVS. I'm looking for this standardization all the time, because that's how I can be a part of a systematized approach to cleaning. Because I believe that if you have a system and a standard, your outcome in cleaning will be automatically much better, and your training will be much more better and ever elevated. And I've seen that, in your organization, it's awesome, because through standards and systems, you can create much better outcomes. So if there is hopefully one day, a label standard, the company of Filmop, we will be able to provide you anything you want in terms of labeling surfaces, specific areas. I
think that's really important, Bruno, because the one area, as soon as we move to a system like that, the one area we seem to always fall short in during a regulatory visit is the proper labeling of chemicals.
Right.
And I know, a lot of organizations moved toward ready-to-use products that already had labels on them, just to avoid the headache of printing labels or having labels, having enough labels, getting the right label on the right, canister or container or spray bottle. And a lot of people have also moved away from spray bottles and more toward impregnated wipes or something along that line. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone can do it, I'm certain Filmop can. One other thing I know Dion and I found really exciting, and something that many environmental service operations see as an issue, is the fact that a lot of housekeeping carts break. They have broken parts, broken wheels, broken locks. So the great thing about Filmop carts that we find, that we know that other environmental service professionals will find very, very attractive about Filmop products is that each part is replaceable. So if a lock breaks, you can order a new lock for, $8, $10, however much it costs, and then easily pop out the broken part and pop in the new part. And then you have a fully functional, working, compliant cart. So I think that's really an attractive part of the Filmop's design. I find that to be great.
That goes back to the philosophy of sustainability. We don't want to throw stuff away. And yes, that's and Dion can speak to that. And we have I have a chart of the whole cart, and then you can see all the tools. And yes, I mean you have pins, you have locks, you have every part of the Lego system can be replaced. And that is the beauty about it. So you don't have to spend money to buy, a new cart and throw the old cart away because there's something minor breaks. You can maintain that cart. And that's also why a cart like that can last for 8, 9, 10 years easy, because every single part of the cart can be replaced and can be fixed. And
I could definitely speak to that because I am not just one of the managers at where I work. I'm also the Filmop repair guy. I would line up carts, and it would take me 2 to 3 minutes a cart to swap out a part that broke, or a pin, or something that. But before, we would have carts just falling apart that need rivets and screws that we can't get, and parts that they are specific to, and you need special tools to take care of it. All I need is a screwdriver and my fingers, and snap, our carts back into action.
Yep.
That's
And actually,
really great.
and that's actually also one other thing I want to point out. When I also repair carts, I also put carts together, and I'm always blown away how well these parts fit together. It's really an engineered system. I'm always, because I replace lids, I replace pins, and every time I do it, that stuff matches. It's like they're married together. These parts are married together. So that's why it's so easy to replace. I can replace some. I can fix a card up in 5 minutes, no problem.
And one thing I wanted to mention with the inventory that we have, or if you have a larger institution and you have an area that need cart specific for isolation, for instance, you can easily take a few of your carts, break them down, and reconfigure them on the spot to become specifically for that area. That's how much of a Lego system these carts are. And you could do it right on the system until you get those carts back in to place in that area.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's actually something else.
I was going to say another. Go ahead, Bruno. I'm so sorry.
No, so sorry, because Liz, you said something when we had a talk that really stuck to my mind. You said, okay, ship me just 2 more of the drawers, because I can configure other cards with more drawers as I need to do it. That was really cool when he said that. That was really cool. I remember that. I mean, it stuck into my head. He said, just ship me more drawers, and I will take the drawers and I will fit them in the cards where I need the drawers. And that's exactly what it is. You could customize.
That was really driven by nursing. Once we put the trial cart up in our ICU unit, where there was a lot of, or a majority of COVID-19 patients, the nurses absolutely said, this is wonderful. Too bad it didn't have this. And I said, well, talk to me about that. And I remember calling you on the spot, sending you a picture, and then having a new cabinet or a new